For 26 years, I believed I knew my husband. Not just the surface, the steady job, the Sunday pancakes, the way he'd hum off key in the shower, but the deeper things. The way his eyes softened when he watched our children sleep. The quiet pride in his voice when he introduced me as his wife. The hand he'd reach for mine during thunderstorms, even after decades, as if I were still the only anchor in his world. I thought I knew his moral compass, his loyalty, his truth. I thought our marriage was built on something real, something unshakable. But real things don't vanish overnight. What I discovered wasn't just an affair. It was the slow, careful dismantling of everything I thought we were. And the man who did it, he never left the house. He sat across from me at dinner. He kissed me goodnight. He prayed beside me on Sundays, all while his heart lived somewhere else, with someone else. Her name is Sarah, his high school sweetheart, a woman he hadn't spoken to in 30 years. At least, that's what he told me when her name first slipped into our life like a shadow under the door. Just caught up with an old friend, he said casual, as if it meant nothing. And for a while, I let myself believe that. After all, what threat could a faded memory pose to 26 years of shared history, children, mortgages, anniversaries, hospital vigils, and quiet mornings sipping coffee in comfortable silence? But memories don't resurface out of nostalgia alone. Not like this. It started subtly. His phone began living face down on the table. He'd take calls in the garage, the backyard, the car, anywhere I couldn't overhear. When I asked, he'd say it was work. But his tone had changed. There was a lightness in his voice, a flirtation in his laughter that I hadn't heard in years. I told myself I was paranoid. Maybe it was midlife. Maybe I was just tired. Then came the lies. Small ones at first. No, I didn't text her today. We only talked once. It's nothing, I swear. But the more he denied, the more I felt the ground shifting beneath me. Because denial in a man who once prided himself on honesty isn't just suspicious, it's a crack in the foundation. So I called her, not to accuse, not a rage, but to understand. I said, I know you've reconnected. I just need you to respect what we have. He's my husband. We've built a life together. Please don't take that from me. Her response chilled me to the bone. We'll be friends for life, she said, almost smug. You don't get to decide that. Friends for life? After 30 years of silence? That wasn't friendship. That was possession. I went back to my husband, shaken. He doubled down. You're overreacting, he said. She's just being dramatic. There's nothing going on. But my gut wouldn't let it go. Then one night, I overheard them. I wasn't spying. I was walking past his study when his phone, left on speaker, carried her voice through the half-open door. What she said wasn't just intimate. It was explicit, erotic, deeply sexual. She described melting chocolate over her body and demanded he lick it off. She told him exactly how she wanted him to teabag her, and he didn't stop her. He didn't say, "This is wrong." He didn't hang up. He engaged. I stood there, frozen. The room seemed to tilt. My breath caught in my throat like glass. This wasn't emotional distance. This was active betrayal, conducted in the sanctity of our home, on the very bed where I had nursed our babies, where we'd whispered dreams and fears, where I had believed every night that I was loved faithfully. When I confronted him, he denied it again, called me crazy, said I must have misunderstood, said it was a joke. So I called her again. This time I didn't plead. I repeated her words back to her. word for word. There was a long silence on the other end. Then, her voice shaken. How could you possibly know that? In that moment, they realized I wasn't guessing. I knew. Within hours, he came to me with tears in his eyes. It's over, he sobbed. We've cut all ties. Her husband doesn't know, and it would destroy him. We had to stop, for his sake. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. I clung to that story like a life raft. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe this nightmare was behind us. But trust, once broken, doesn't heal with pretty speeches. I started watching, not obsessively, but carefully, and what I found shattered me all over again. They were still talking, every day. Texts, calls, voice messages, a secret lifeline running straight through the heart of my marriage. And then she filed a harassment charge against me. Me, the wife who discovered her husband's emotional and sexual betrayal. Me, the woman who asked once politely to be left alone. Me, the one now branded a threat for daring to confront the woman sleeping with my husband in fantasy, if not in flesh. The irony is almost too cruel to bear. Her own husband remains in total ignorance. He goes to work, pays bills, loves his wife, unaware that she's entangled in a years-long emotional affair with another man. My husband, while I am punished for speaking truth, I've asked for a divorce, not out of anger, though anger is there, not out of spite, though the betrayal burns like acid, but out of sheer, unshakable self-preservation. Because I cannot live with a man who pretends to be righteous to the world while living a lie at home. To everyone else, he's the devoted husband, the faithful churchgoer, the stable provider. But behind closed doors, he's a man who compartmentalizes love like a spreadsheet, allocating affection, attention, and fantasy to a woman who isn't his wife, while expecting me to remain grateful for the crumbs he leaves behind. And her? She hides behind her own marriage while stealing intimacy from mine. She lies to her husband to protect her secret. She lies to the authorities to silence me. She wears the mask of the wronged party while playing the role of the other woman with shocking entitlement. They are both liars, both hypocrites, both willing to destroy my peace to protect their illusion. This betrayal has hollowed me out in ways I never imagined possible. Some days I can't get out of bed. The weight of the deception presses on my chest like stone. I replay every anniversary, every vacation, every I love you, wondering which moments were real and which were just performance. Did he ever truly love me? Or was I always just the placeholder, the respectable wife, while his heart belonged to a ghost from his past? The grief isn't just for the marriage, it's for the future I thought we'd have. The quiet retirement, the grandchildren, the growing old together, all of it revealed as a stage set, a beautiful facade with nothing behind it. But here's what I've learned in the wreckage. Betrayal doesn't just break trust, it forces you to meet yourself in the ruins. And in that meeting, I found something I hadn't seen in years, my own strength. I will not stay in a marriage where love is conditional on my blindness. I will not share my home with a man who treats fidelity as optional. I will not apologize for seeking truth in a house full of lies. Divorce isn't failure, it's the ultimate act of self-respect. They may escape consequences in this lifetime. Her husband may never know. The world may continue to see my husband as the upright man he pretends to be. But I know the truth. And that truth is mine to carry, not as a burden, but as a compass. I am walking away. Not because I'm broken, but because I refuse to be erased. Not because I hate him, but because I love myself too much to stay in a relationship built on deceit. Not because I want revenge, but because I deserve peace. The pain is real. The grief is deep. Some nights, the loneliness feels like a physical wound. But even in the darkest moments, I feel something else rising. Something quiet, steady, unshakable. It's the sound of my own voice, finally speaking louder than their lies. I am not crazy. I am not too sensitive. I am not the problem. I am a woman who loved deeply, trusted completely, and was repaid with betrayal. And instead of shrinking, instead of disappearing, I am choosing to stand. This story isn't just about them. It's about every woman who's been told she's imagining things while her world burns. It's about the courage it takes to say, no more, even when everyone around you urges you to stay for the sake of the marriage. I won't wait for karma. I won't beg for justice. My justice is this. I will rebuild. My revenge is this. I will be happy, truly, deeply, unapologetically happy without them. They may have stolen years from me, but they will not steal my future. I am done being the silent wife in someone else's story. This is my life, my truth, my beginning, and I am walking into it, alone, yes, but finally, gloriously free. Let them have their secret calls, their chocolate fantasies, their house of cards. I choose honesty. I choose dignity. I choose me. And that, more than any marriage, more than any vow, is enough. Because after 26 years of loving someone else faithfully, I finally learned how to love myself. And that love, it doesn't lie. It doesn't vanish. It stays. Even in the silence. Even in the storm. Even when the whole world pretends the betrayal never happened. I know what happened, and I will never forget. But I will survive it. I already am. If this story stayed with you, if it reminded you of someone or something you've carried in silence, I'd be honored if you'd leave a word below. Tell me, what's one relationship you'd never trade for anything in the world? And if these stories matter to you, consider subscribing, not for me, but so no one ever has to feel alone in their truth again. This is Story Files. Keep listening. Keep remembering. You belong here.